Hey guys, it's Ryan from Motorcycle.com here in beautiful Valencia, Spain to check out two completely new motorcycles from Triumph. So on the left, we have the Scrambler 400X, and here on the right is the Speed 400. These two new motorcycles from Triumph are kind of bringing the brand into a new segment with these size engines, and this has come about with a partnership with Bajaj. So they're also able to make these bikes fit into a really competitive price point. That's $5,000 for the Speed and $5,600 for the Scrambler. And really, obviously, the heart of this is going to be the new single. It's a 398cc fuel-injected dual overhead cam 4-valve single. Triumph rates it at about 40 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. After ringing these bikes neck today in the mountain roads, the bike kind of makes most of its power just north of 7,000 RPM. And when you're out in canyon roads and enjoying the twisty bits, you kind of keep it up there pretty easily. And then you can kind of run into the rev limiter pretty quick without realizing it when you're getting after it. But otherwise, it's been a lot of fun. It's fairly smooth under 6,000 RPM, but once you get up there, if you're cruising on the highway, it starts to put some vibes through the entire bike. And the engine is rigid mounted, so that might be a contributing factor there. But it's nothing that you'll worry about in the canyons. A little annoying, I guess, on the highway, but really it's been a blast to use the punchy kind of mid-range of these bikes. And so let's take a look at what kind of sets these bikes apart, right? You have a much lower seat height. It's about almost 2 inches lower on the Speed. You also have a lower aluminum handlebar that's a little bit farther back as well. The foot pegs are a bit wider and farther forward and lower on the Scrambler. And obviously the Scrambler's set up to do a bit of light off-roading. You have 6 inches of travel, which isn't a ton, and it's honestly, it's not too much more than the Speed gets. But the damping's changed a little bit. As far as adjustment for the suspension on either bike, you've got a stepped preload adjuster, and that's gonna be it. Ergonomically, the Scram feels like a much bigger bike. The handlebar is higher, wider. The seat height is a bit higher. So the entire bike really just feels like a kind of a more substantial motorcycle. The Scram gets a 19-inch front wheel with a 17-inch rear. That kind of does make it a little bit slower in transitions, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. We still had a really good time on it. The front brake is, it doesn't have a lot of initial bite, but that was kind of the point. Triumph is actually using different pad compounds on both of these bikes. So the Scrambler was designed to have a little bit less initial bite, and it's still got enough power. You just have to get into it a bit more. On the Speed, it's a much more immediate bite. It's a pretty much completely different experience, really. Again, the Scrambler is meant to do a little bit of light off-road, not a ton of suspension travel. You have things underneath the bike that you're not going to want to hit on the ground. So, probably don't go jumping it and getting too crazy with it. But what is nice is the Scrambler offers a off-road mode, which allows you to cut ABS on both wheels and traction control. Both bikes have the option to turn traction control off completely. But if you're going to want to do any off-roading, and if that's your intent at all, the being able to have the off-road mode on the Scrambler is definitely key there. Both bikes have a 3.5-gallon tank, and in terms of electronics, that's really going to be just about it. So the Speed is going to come around, Triumph told us, is about 375 pounds wet, and it's about 20 more for the Scrambler at 395. But I would say the thing that stuck out to me most riding both of these bikes back to back and switching a bit was how great they handle. It's so much fun to flick them around in twisty roads, but also in traffic when you're trying to shoot through crazy roundabouts like we have been for our time coming in and out of the hotel. It's really easy to just move the bike around, super agile. And again, the experience in the mountain roads today, it's just a great fun bike to ride. So based on these, you can kind of pick what you want. If you like the styling of the Scrambler, that's one thing. If you like the styling of the Speed, that's another. But the riding experience is completely different. The Speed is absolutely the sporty bike. It's got better tires for sport riding, and it is an entirely different experience. It turns in so much quicker than the Scrambler. But we also took both bikes down a little dirt trail, and not being able to shut off the ABS on the Speed is definitely going to be an issue. So again, the bikes feel very different in their riding characteristics, Both are a lot of fun, but the speed is absolutely the weapon for tearing up canyon roads. If you have any inkling of doing off-road, for me, I'm about 5'8", and I maybe want to roll the bars a little bit forward on the Scrambler, maybe a little bit higher too. So that's gonna be mostly up to rider preference, but for me, I would kind of want to do that. I would also probably want some bigger foot pegs. Otherwise, it is very neutral standing up or sitting. The riding position on the Scrambler does kind of put you up, and you're kind of taking a lot of the wind blast, where you get a little bit more canted forward with the speed. So again, if you have no intent of off-road, if you don't like the seat height on the Scrambler, you know, the speed is a great option. All right, guys, that's it from Valencia. If you want the full breakdown after I've had a chance to sit down and didn't just jump off the bike, we'll have the full review over at Motorcycle.com, as well as all of the specs if you're looking for the detailed numbers and everything. So quick first ride review. Definitely going to be a solid contender in the market for Triumph. And yeah, hopefully we'll get a chance to get one or both back stateside to spend a little bit more time with it. And so that wraps it up. Thanks for watching.